The Messerschmitt BF109 was one of the most dominant German fighter aircraft of the Second World War. The three top-scoring fighter aces all flew these planes, and it was used in many different roles. It was used as bomber escort, as a fighter bomber itself, and even in ground attack, and over 34,000 were made. It was a very feared dogfighting plane in the hands of a skilled and daring pilot. But despite this, many were shot down and did encounter problems against later war fighter planes, and there were many of them that still lie today in the ground where they crashed 80 years ago. Each year there are a number of World War II planes and vehicles discovered, and they are often lifted to the surface, being seen for the first time in 80 years. In 2010, a BF109 was raised from the depths of the icy fjords near to the Norwegian coast, and the freezing cold water had preserved the World War II plane incredibly. Today we look at the story of this aircraft. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. On the 24th of March 1943, Unterofficer in the Luftwaffe, Günther Serafin, of the Jägerschwader 5, experienced significant engine failure on board his Messerschmitt BF109 G2, codenamed Yellow 3. The plane was flying over Norway, and specifically over the Norwegian coast. JG5, the fighter wing Serafin was part of, was responsible for air operations over most of northern Norway, and they utilised Focke-Wulf 190s, as well as BF109s. They conducted many different missions against enemy aircraft who were attempting to sink planes and strike infrastructure, but Serafin's BF109 entered a nosedive. The pilot took the decision to attempt an emergency forced landing in the water close to the Norwegian town of Rørvik. The aircraft smashed into the water nose first, and the tail entered the water and went upright into the air. But seeing the Messerschmitt plane in difficulty in the fjords, a man and his son who lived nearby managed to rescue Günther Serafin from the water. He had successfully performed a landing at sea north of the island of Gjerdinga. He was dragged from the aircraft into a boat whilst two other Messerschmitts circled overhead and witnessed what was happening, and they reported the crash to headquarters with a rough location. Serafin was then rowed back to shore, and he managed to get back to the German lines based at Rørvik. The pilot, though, would not survive the Second World War, as in the dying days of the conflict, on the 10th of April 1945, he was shot down and was killed flying over the German town of Schweringen. But the aircraft that crashed inside the Norwegian fjords sank to the bottom of the fjord, nose first, and it came to nestle on the bottom of the sea. It rested there for 70 years, until investigation work took place to locate the wreckage, and to try and attempt to bring the plane to the surface. A number of dives were made of the area, and it was surveyed, and a plan was drawn up to lift the BF109. The recovery took place on the 22nd of May 2010, and it was not easy to lift the aircraft. Despite it not being a huge bomber plane, the Messerschmitt was firmly lodged in the silt and the water, and the recoverers wanted to ensure that the aircraft remained in one piece, as it was in one piece in the water. The weight of the plane was said to have been 2.5 tons, but there was around 3.5 tons of mud surrounding the plane, making things difficult. But the operation as a whole went well, and as the plane was lifted out of the fjord, only a few smaller pieces fell off, and the plane was then brought to the local dock. The engine was still in position, and the fuselage was in remarkable states of preservation. The Balkenkreuz logos could still be seen on the side, as could the Yellow 3 designation on the side, and there was also a swastika visible on the tail. The cockpit was in a good state too, and found with the machine guns and weapons on board, as well as the ammunition which was still inside the weaponry. The pilot had not fired all or if any of the bullets, and these were still found loaded in the guns. There were also many personal effects and belongings of Günther Serafin found, including his personal pistol. The propellers were also in good condition, and only a small part of the wing and nose had disintegrated over the 70 years that it was in the water. From the wreckage, local historians managed to obtain the serial number of the BF109, 146449, and they managed to piece together more about the plane, including that it belonged to the staff of the Jägerschwader 5. The recovery from the depths of the Norwegian fjords was a huge success, and the BF109 was one of the most remarkable wrecks discovered since the end of the Second World War. The freezing cold water of the fjord had led to the aircraft being preserved rather well, almost in the same manner that it had when it crashed into the water. The fact the symbols of the Luftwaffe and the designation Yellow 3 could still be seen on the plane shows how well the aircraft had been conserved in the water. There are many other planes that crashed in the fjords during the Second World War and in this area, and in future years there may be many more pulled from the depths. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.